Good morning. This is Faith in Our Hometown, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin. And now, here is your host, Father Jay Friedel.
Good morning and happy Sunday to all of you. Thank you for joining us again for another Sunday morning of Faith in Our Hometown, our weekly conversation about things that kind of matter to us as people of faith. You know, during this time, and of course I always refer to this being living in time of plague, okay? So during this time, you know, so many people have experienced so many things, good and bad. I mean, you know, it's brought out, I think, the best and the worst in many of us. And what we want to talk a little bit about this morning is how do we keep ourselves moving in a positive direction? How do we do some of that stuff? So we've kind of tapped into one of our local coaches, trainers, and he's been on the show before. This is Buckridge is going to join us this morning, and he is with Higher Vision Coaching, Training, and Consulting. So we're going to talk a little bit about positive direction, energy, and how to get there. We're going to do this weekend for the next couple of weeks. So I hope that you're ready to get a little positive and head in a good direction. So grab that cup of coffee, whatever you're going to do this morning, and come right back because we'll be right back after this Mercy Minute.
Lung cancer is the leading cause of cancer deaths in the U.S., and now we have an effective tool to screen for it. A low-dose CT uses a lower amount of radiation than a standard chest CT.
Breathe in.
Better detailed pictures than a chest x-ray of small abnormal areas of the lung. A person must be between 55 to 77 years old, asymptomatic, which means they don't have any symptoms such as coughing up blood, chronic cough, shortness of breath, unusual weight loss, or any other worrisome symptoms. They must also be a current smoker or have quit within the past 15 years, also must have a 30-pack year history or more, which equates to smoking 1 pack a day for 30 years, or 2 packs a day for 15 years. People generally avoid these scans, possibly due to fear of what could be found. Like many other cancers, if we can detect lung cancer early, it could be very treatable and life-saving.
Well, again, thanks for joining us this morning for Faith in Our Hometown. My guest, as I mentioned earlier, Buckridge.
Hello.
You are a coach, a trainer, a consultant.
Yes.
And so I'm going to ask you to take us through a little bit of some thinking this morning, especially for some of our viewers that may be kind of struggling or just down in the dumps or whatever, or just are sick of this whole thing.
Right.
You know, and I personally, I don't know anybody who's not sick of the whole thing.
Yeah, we all are. We are all in that boat, I think, and that's okay to say that.
Yeah.
I think we have to own the fact that this is happening, but it's all about how we cope through what's taking place.
Yeah, so just, take us through some good thinking on that.
Absolutely.
Let's leave our viewers today with some of the things that you would do as a trainer or consultant or coach that's going to get us kind of moving in a positive direction.
Well, one of my favorite quotes actually comes from the Bible, where it says, write the vision down so when you see it, you'll run with it. If I keep a vision in front of me, the word vision in the Greek means strategic inflection point, or it's a bullseye. It's kind of like pulling back that arrow for all of our bow hunter friends that are out there. It's pulling back that arrow and releasing, knowing that I'm going to hit that target. Mm-hmm. If I can stay focused on the target, no matter how big or how small, eventually with a lot of practice, I'm going to hit my destination point.
Yeah, and I think that as people will say this, was just like, well, but I'm just living life. Why do I have to have a vision? Why is that so important?
Because of whatever we see, we can truly bring about, and it's not like a woo-hooey thing. It's true. If I can picture something, if I can think on it, if I can believe in it enough, I can truly acquire. But here's what I like to do, fathers. I like to make sure that whatever I think about, I want to have people around me that can agree and believe with me. Whether 2 or 3 are gathered together in His name, believing, is touching anything, it shall be done, is what Jesus said, right? So if we can touch something and believe, and I've got somebody in my corner that's going to believe with me, I'm going to hit that end result.
Well, I've been saying most of my life that we are supposed to be better together than I can be by myself.
Yes.
Now, you know, sometimes people try to prove me wrong. But for the most part, we are supposed to be better together. That's the reason why we have a church. That's the reason why we have a community.
That's right.
I mean, you know, some folks are great doing it solo, mission, all right. But I think most of us need others to rely on in order to make it all come together and happen.
And it's also, the Bible also says the threefold cord is not easily broken. So if I can make sure I'm latching arms with you, and I know I've got the power of Jesus within me, I'm a faith guy, and so we're talking about faith in our hometown. Sure. So everything I do does come a faith perspective, and so I have to rely on the fact that I know that God put me on this planet for a unique me purpose. 1 Corinthians talks about unique giftings, not the spiritual giftings, unique us giftings. Some people are artists, some people are speakers, some people are politicians. Those are God gifts that he gives to us. Some of us are preachers, right? So those are good things. And so I've got to embrace those things and say, you know, I've got something I have to contribute back to this world, but I've got to make sure I'm latching on not just to what the gifts of what God has and latching on to the power of the Holy Spirit, but also mankind. He's saying, hey, I need you to come around me. I want to share something with you. This is what I want to do. How can you help me make this a reality?
Yeah. And again, even for any of you out there that don't necessarily follow a particular faith tradition or something, you make these translations for yourself. Because, you know, we're not doing the show trying to just convert people or do any of those things. We're just trying to say, this is how, from my perspective, my faith, this is what my faith has done for me.
Yes.
How can we make those translations for each other to help spur each other on to be the best that we can
and
here in our
without a vision,
community?
people perish. And perish is not, in the Hebrew, that's not just about physical death, right? It's about, without a vision, I don't have a direction. I don't have a place to end up. And without a vision, I feel lifeless. You probably talk to people, I'm sure, constantly that I just don't feel like I have direction. I feel passionless. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life. Because without a vision, people perish.
Well, and again, so, you know, part of the work that I have to do, and, you know, not how you're going to do this, it's easier, I think it's easier to do the coaching one-on-one when you actually got a person with a situation, and we're kind of trying to do it for everybody out there. But my job at that point in time is to help that person to dig down a little bit and to figure out what they're passionate about, what they believe their calling in life is, what they believe might be their mission from God, or that they just take on because that's what they feel moved about, whatever that happens to be.
Yes, and so we call this a lot of times, what you're talking about is what I call the vision mission concept, right? So meaning vision and mission, they have to come together, and they're very different things. A lot of times we, especially here in the corporate world, we hear mission statement, vision statement, and sometimes they get coincided and intermingled. They're totally different. Vision is where I want to end up, mission is why I do it. Mission is my why concept every single day, where vision is where I want to be. So I have to have the target, that's the vision, that's where I want to end up, but my mission is what's getting me up every single day, what's driving me every single day, what's that thing that's ticking inside that I think about all day long, I go to bed thinking about, I wake up thinking about. That's mission concept.
Okay, so somebody's sitting on their couch right now this morning at home and saying, well, I never stopped to articulate a vision. I've never thought about vision. I think my life's going okay, but you know.
That's common.
I mean, you know, but where would they start? What would they do?
The first thing I do, I say, let's start with mission first. Let's start with that first. And so I tell people, I was like, you know, what I want you to do, when we're coaching people, I say, I want you to clear your mind and just speak from your heart. And I always ask the question, what do you love? No agenda. What do you love? This can be faith, family, community, art, music. I don't care. What do you love? And I'm just making notes. What do you love? And so what I do when I start fleshing this out is I start with the words, I exist to, right? So I exist to make a difference in the lives of others through the community arts and entertainment, whatever it is for that person. For me personally, I exist to encourage and empower people from all walks of life toward their personal end result created destiny and purpose. So encourage is for me, because I'm a Barnabas, right? I love to pump people up, motivate, inspire, as I'm sure you can tell that. But I also love to empower, which means I'm going to put tools in your hands. I'm going to say, this is how we map your time out for your week. This is what we should be doing with your children during the week so that they make sure they're not overlooked. Let's look at your business model and the strategy. So we talk about, first, what do we love?
Okay, so if you're sitting at home, now don't try to do all this next, you can't listen and do all that at the same time, but just maybe make yourself some notes or just think about, okay, what, you know, so sit down later on in the week and do that for yourself. Sit down on the weekend and say, okay, what do I love? What am I about? Why do I exist? Why do I do what I do?
And here's what I tell people, Father, is that why has to be about you. Again, the 1 Corinthians gifts, my specific reason for being. This cannot be about your spouse, your children. I tell people, well, what if you outlive your spouse? What if your children leave the house? Our children, I've got children that are growing out of the house right now. If I live my mission based upon my children, I have a problem, right? So I have to come back to focus about what are the unique things that God's given me to do on this planet.
Yeah. And so we start there with what you love.
Just what you love.
You know, what you love.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And once somebody's made that list, what are you going to do after that?
I start by putting it in a phrase, right? So like, I exist to, and I usually do, I exist to ... and I've got my list of the words that I love. So maybe I'm writing down, I love my faith, I love my family, I love my community. So I exist to make a difference, or I exist to encourage, empower, whatever it is. Use whatever words that you're comfortable with. Don't use my words, use your words. It's very important. And here's what I tell people, is this does not have to be a get it right now thing. Play with it, tweak it. I'm a big fan of journaling. I tell people all the time, you need to journal every day. When people say, what does journaling look like? Is that like a diary when I was a kid and I'm writing down everything happened? It can be. Sometimes it's just thoughts, sometimes it's ideas. I had a great professor in Bible college that used to call it sermon seeding. Maybe I'm just writing down a word or a title.
That is only if you're going to preach.
That's right, which obviously I've probably done a few times. And so, but it's all about, it's just an idea. Maybe I'm writing down just words. Maybe I'm writing down how I'm feeling. Maybe I'm just writing down angry and I'm underlining it, I'm circling it. That's okay. What we're doing is we're clearing out our emotional state. We're clearing out the broca center of the brain that holds information, the short-term memory stored as I'm clearing out these files so I can think clearly for a moment. I just want to focus on these good things that I love. That's it. Then, when you start playing with it, you're going to come up with a statement similar to mine. I exist to encourage and empower people from all walks of life. And the reason for me, all walks of life, I love doing this. I love working with business leaders. Sometimes I work with top-level CEOs, council members, mayors, senators. I also work with small business owners that they don't have a high-level income. I work with young adults. I do school assemblies. So for me, it's people from all walks of life. So whatever it is for you is what it needs to be for you.
Yeah. So we start with what we love, then we get to I exist to, and then we start filtering some of those
just filter it and just put it together in a statement. And that statement doesn't have to look like anybody else's. It doesn't matter. It's about you and saying, this is why I'm on the planet.
Okay, give an example of what a statement would come out looking like.
Okay, so
what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to set people up here so they don't necessarily have to hire you, but they can just use your ideas and kind of keep moving.
So again, that's just mine. So some people know celebrity local chef Michael Clark. So Chef Mike is, I exist to put smiles on people's faces by bringing them to the table and having a community understanding of one another through food. He loves food. He's good at it. So food is a part of his mission.
Sure.
But really it's about putting smiles on people's faces. He wants to bring people around the table. That's it. It's nothing more than that. I've got another individual, he said, I exist to be a blessor with my blessing because I have been blessed to the world and those beyond. That's his mission statement. So again, it's all about whatever yours is. I know we've got some special guests coming up over the next few weeks that have done many great things for the community in arts and entertainment and our large healthcare systems. These people have something different than what you and I may have.
Well, and I think that's the beauty of that community we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
I can't do what some other people do.
Yes.
I don't have time. I've got too many other jobs.
Yeah.
I do what I do. But if those other people aren't attending to all those things, then a lot of the other things are going to fall through the cracks.
We have to have diversity. If we don't have arts and entertainment, we have a boring community. If we don't have entrepreneurs, I don't have a local coffee shop to go to, which anyone that knows me, I can be found at a local coffee shop like every day. I kind of have a problem with caffeine, I think. But it's
That's a different show.
It's a different show. Right, but it's all about, these people have a purpose in our community, right? Everyone has a place. Leaders have a place. We're called to pray for the leaders of our land, regardless if we agree with them or disagree with them, it doesn't matter. Here's the point, if they feel called to lead in that role, that's what matters to me. I want them to lead the way they feel called to lead. I'm going to pray for them whether I agree or disagree. That's what we should be doing.
Yeah. Well, we were talking this morning with J.D. Buckridge of, let me get this right again, Higher Vision Coaching, Training, and Consulting.
Yes.
And we're talking a little bit about how to keep ourselves motivated during some challenging times. So we are going to take a quick break, just a little 20-second break for just a station identification, pause, and all that stuff. And we're going to be right back to continue our conversation with JD. So stick around.
You're watching Faith in Our Hometown on KSN TV, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.
I told you that was going to be a quick break. So at any rate, with J.D. Buckridge this morning, talking again about coaching, vision, mission, and so we've gotten kind of the vision and mission.
Yeah.
How does this then move us forward?
So the next step, we talked about really crafting a personal mission statement. So that mission is what propels. I tell people mission propels, vision provides. The vision is the stuff. It's where I want to end up. And I tell people, think big. There's no right or wrong here. I don't care. It doesn't matter. What does life want? What do you want life to look like? Rather, I mean, this can be even multiple homes. I don't care. It's your vision. This could be a particular family structure. This can be a particular income demographic. But what this does, if we say, you know what, I want to have a lake house in Florida that looks over this type of body of water, or I want to have, the toys, I want to do these things. Well, what we do is we're breaking that down into a dollar amount, an economic value. It gives me something to really aim for, and then we'll talk about strategy here in a little bit. But what this does is this breaks it down and makes it realistic for me. So I can say, wow, there's a number to this now, and this is what I can aim for. This is what I have to earn, and this is how I can do it. But I tell people, look, vision, it's yours to play with. There's no rules to it. Maybe you have a vision you're watching, you say, I'm working as a junior executive at my company now. I have a desire to be a top-level executive. What is it going to take to be there? Can you visualize yourself in that chair? When I was young in the ministry, I used to sit around and think, I have a desire to do some bigger things. I see myself on bigger platforms and bigger stages. And it wasn't just about me, it was a desire that was in me, right? So every good and perfect thing comes down from the Father of heavenly lights. So I knew that desire that was good and perfect in me came from him, it honored him, and matched up with what the word said, matched up with my mentors. Remember I said we got to lock arms with people? They spoke into my life and said, here's how we can make that happen. So as I took the steps, the vision was, I see this type of event. I see this type of happening. I see myself doing this thing. Then I can aim toward it.
Okay, now let me back up just a second here, because I like where you're going and everything, but you were talking about something practical in terms of a dollar. Does everything have to have a dollar amount?
Not at all.
Okay,
not at all.
That's what I was saying. I just want to make sure we aren't confusing folks, because
so there are a lot of people I work with that their passion is nonprofit work. There's no dollar amount attached to it for them, but they have maybe their desires to get. I want to get 1 million pets adopted before I leave this planet. Great, let's focus on getting 1 million pets adopted. What does that look like? So I tell people vision boarding. I love vision boarding. And we've got some mutual friends, Ann Leach, I know talks about her doodling and things. I love that because here's what it does. I'm writing it down, I'm making it plain, I'm looking at it. So what I do a lot of times in our workshops, we'll have poster boards and markers. I say, just doodle. I don't care what it looks like. And sometimes, you probably know people that they're cutting things out and they're pasting and putting on their vision board. Whatever it is for you. I'm a big marker board guy. I love marker boards. I've got different colors of ink for everything, and it just looks like a rocket scientist exploded on my marker boards, right? But whatever it is for you, if you've got a marker board it down. If you're a list person, make lists. If you're a person that likes task prioritize, do that. But put something down that you can see. Put it on your refrigerator, put it on your mirror. I've got one of my childhood best friends is a Grammy Award-winning record producer in Nashville, Tennessee. He's recorded people like Kirk Franklin and I mean, crazy artists. And so I asked him one time, I said, what was it like for you when you left Joplin, Missouri to go to Nashville, Tennessee? He said, let me tell you. He said, I'll never forget feeling really defeated one time, saying, maybe this isn't for me. I said, what got you through that? He said, I woke up one day and my wife had all these Post-it notes. Here's what I was saying here. All these Post-it notes were written down and posted throughout the house. You are a Grammy Award-winning gospel music producer. You are a top-notch record producer. You have the best studio in all of Greater Nashville. I can tell you to this day, he has many accolades to his name. Grammys, Dove Awards, he's got a top-notch studio. He's currently the music director for Governor Mike Huckabee. Again, if you don't frequent him, that's okay. I'm looking at this gentleman's success story, right?
Sure.
He made it because someone wrote something down, put it in front of him, and posted these all throughout his house. He said, I went to the refrigerator, there's a Post-it note. I went to the mirror, there's a Post-it note. I went to get into my car, there was a Post-it note. He said, I'm telling you, it got me through. He said, I'll never forget my first big break. He said, I got a phone call from a little guy named Donnie McClurkin. Some people may know who Donnie McClurkin is. And Donnie has won numerous awards in gospel music. He said, my first thought is this real? And so he had to verify it. And he said, it ended up being real, and I went, oh my gosh, I don't have the studio to do this, and what am I going to do? He found a way. He leased the studio, he rented out equipment, he found a way, and that was a picture to his journey. But he had to have these things in front of him to believe in himself.
Yeah, and so so when you're creating this, so you've made your lists, you moved to a mission statement, and now you're
breaking this down to a strategy.
Yeah. Okay.
So again, mission first, right? Mission propels, the vision provides many times. The vision is providing me an opportunity, again, 1 million puppies I want to adopt before I leave this planet. It's providing an opportunity to live out that thing. But my mission might be to put smiles on people's faces through tender, loving care of animals all over the world. Maybe that's my mission. So my mission propels me to get up, my vision provides, but now we break down a strategy. And so a lot of times I'll tell people, say, well, if you want to work with animals and families, how can you do that? Well, I don't really know. I've never done anything like that before. So our community, we have a local humane society. Have you thought about volunteering at the Humane Society? So it's pointing people to a path and saying, let's create this path for you, and let's get you connected to that cause effort, and let's start fleshing out the details and start aiming toward a goal. Maybe you can be a part of an adopt-a-thon, right? Maybe I can be a part of a local large event that's happening post-COVID, and I can bring attention and awareness to this cause. Everything's going to lead up to that end result goal.
So strategies.
Absolutely.
Just writing now.
Yes.
Again, how do we coach everybody to write those down? How do we do that?
Very much write them down. So I'm a fan of that a goal is just a mini mission, right? So my mission is something that I'm writing down that's going to help me achieve my vision. A goal is a mini mission to help me achieve the big mission. So I'm just writing down a goal. I'm going to list out these goals. So a lot of times I like to set goals annually, quarterly, and then monthly. Then I'm going to break that down to each week, what do I need to do to hit that goal for the month, to hit that goal for the quarter, especially in sales. I know a lot of salespeople, it's like, oh, I've got these big goals for the quarter. Let's break it down and make it a monthly number, and let's break that down to a number of sales calls or whatever it may be. Or if it's the puppies, what do I need to do to get more puppies in front of people?
Okay. So we start strategizing, we
Yes.
start putting those things down, and we make them very manageable.
Realistic. Yes, realistic and attainable.
Yeah. So we break them down by whatever the smallest pieces of those can be
Absolutely.
or need to be.
Yes.
And then what do we do?
I lock arms with somebody to help me make it happen. So a lot of times I'll say, so let's talk about who can make that happen for you. So many years ago, I sat down with someone, I said, I've got some pretty big goals of how I feel like I'm supposed to encourage and empower people in my local community. And so this individual said, so what does that look like for you? I said, well, I've got some people on my list I feel like I need to connect to that can help me make that happen. And this gentleman said, well, I know 2 of those people. Let me go ahead and send an email right now. Long story short, in just a matter of hours, I was sitting with top-level major CEOs in our market. This was 20 years ago, but it was something as a young man that I needed to be exposed to them and let them speak into my life to give me some direction. One of those directions led me to be a part of Joplin's Third Thursday and the Downtown Joplin Alliance. We co-founded the Third Thursday event. We started doing some things that maybe hadn't been done in Joplin before. I saw the vision for arts and culture. People like our friend Linda Teeter. I saw the vision for arts and culture. I knew it needed to happen. It was a passion of mine as well. I needed to lock arms with people that also had that passion. But that starts with just making a list. So I had a list. I went to somebody I knew that might be influential. I said, here's what I want to do. How can you help me make that happen?
Yeah. So you find partners
Absolutely.
who
Yes.
will help you to achieve those strategies
Yes.
that are going to feed those other things.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Then it just happens.
To a degree. So James says, faith without works is dead, right?
I know we get in trouble for that all the time, but
Yeah.
you got to believe in James.
That's
but it's
right.
okay. But
it's
yes.
2 parts. I think a lot of times we say, oh my gosh, I just want to do things, I want to do things, I want to do things. I'm just living in faith. I'm just believing God. And a lot of times I look, especially in my charismatic brothers and sisters where I come from, I say, that's great. I am a faith person with you. I believe in faith. I believe in speaking the word. But the Bible also says works, faith without works. So let's put some feet to your faith. So how can we flesh that out? Let's have some faith, but let's have some works. Let's put those 2 things together. So what are the action items? Maybe you need to send the email. Maybe you need to make the phone call. Maybe you need to attend the networking event. Maybe I need to attend church more often. What is it? Maybe I need to plug in and say, Father, how can I serve our body locally? What can I do to let my gifts come out to connect them to the end result cause?
Yeah. So once we get everybody motivated, once we get everybody with a little direction,
Yes.
once we get everybody to figure out the strategy, and once we get everybody to figure out who's going to help them
Yes.
to do that, then it all happens.
To a degree, but again, it's the works, right? So I always have to look that if I'm locking arms with somebody that has maybe a higher level skill than myself for this end result thing, what are their gifts? So, I like to look at people and say, where do they belong on the bus, if they will? What's the right seat for them? Are they the driver? Are they the right behind seat navigator with the map saying turn right here? Where do they belong in my life? So I have to look at that, So I tell people all the time, when it comes to a life course, I need to have my faith partners. I need to maybe have my mental health partners, because that's important too. I believe in that. I need to have some practical partners. What am I doing for my own physical body, my physical fitness? Because if I want to maintain this level, this high level thing I want to do, I have to stay here for a while. So that means I've got to make sure my mind, my body, my spirit are all in congruence with one another. But then I also have to make sure that everyone else that's on my team that they're delegated to a task that's realistic and attainable for them. But at the same time, it's got to be a mutual thing. So when we talk about this, it's got to be reciprocal. I can't be just a taker. So I come and say, Father Jay, I want you to help me do this thing. Someone said I should talk to you about this. You're going to say, man, that's awesome. I can help you with that. But I also need to come in with the idea of, how can I help you achieve your thing?
Yeah. So there's that. Once I've linked arms with somebody, there's kind of a relationship there that says, okay, they're going to help me do my thing, and I'm going to help them do their thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that leads us full circle right back to that community we were talking about at the very beginning to do some of those things, which is why, again, we're doing Faith in Our Hometown and why we do shows like this. So again, you're never done with this whole process, okay? But if we've been feeling stuck, this kind of language and this kind of a way of looking forward will kind of maybe get us a little more unstuck to start accomplishing some of the things that we need to do. My guest this morning has been J.D. Buckridge from Higher Vision Coaching, Training, and Consulting. That's hard to do.
Yes.
But at any rate, we're going to be right back after this Mercy Minute to wrap up.
The whole purpose of screening is to catch people who have a significant smoking history early enough where we can do something about it and potentially improve the duration of life. The minimum recommendation for screening is 30-pack years. So usually people who've smoked more than 30-pack years are the ones that we're screening. If we start screening yearly with low-dose CT scans, we can reduce the risk of death from lung cancer by 20 to 25%. Stage 1, 2, and 3 cancers potentially can be cured. When it becomes stage 4, the possibility of cure falls significantly.
There are lots of things that challenge us in life, and that is no less true during this time we've got right now, during this messy time where we're being challenged right and left. Again, as I said earlier, it can bring out our worst parts, but it can also sometimes bring out our best parts. So this morning we just were trying to say, well, just going to throw out some language, some techniques to kind of help everybody focus perhaps a little bit. If you've been feeling stuck, if you've been feeling like you're missing a piece, don't have any partners, who are you going to partner with? Don't have your mission stated as to what you're going, well then how are you going to move forward necessarily about accomplishing something? Don't have any strategies for doing it? Okay, how are you going to sit down and do the strategies? But start out again with what you love, what makes you passionate, what do you want to change in the world, what do you think God needs you to change in the world, and then go after it and do it, okay? So we're really grateful that you joined us for another Sunday morning of Faith in Our Hometown. I hope you have a fantastic and blessed Sunday, and join us next week again, same time, same place, for another conversation.
Thanks for watching. Faith in Our Hometown can be seen Sunday mornings at 6:30 and 9 a.m. on KSN. Brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.